What is going on, everybody on YouTube? Max Rock here with a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing the full review or the final thoughts on the Huawei Elate or Cricket Wireless. And so to get things started here, I want to talk about the software for the device. When it comes to the software on the Huawei Elate here, it is running Android 7.0 with EMUI, the skin that Huawei uses on the top of the device or the top of the operating system. And the EMUI is a colorful skin. You know, it does a little bit to improve the experience that you have on Android here, but it doesn't do as much as a flagship device would do. Because I know with their software, with their UI here, it gives you a lot of motion controls depending on the device that you have. Like for example, this is a budget Huawei device, and the Huawei Mate 9 or Mate 10 will be a premium Huawei device, and so you'll have a lot more features on that device there. But as far as Android here, 7.0, it does have the multi-window. It has a notification direct reply. So anything that you've seen, any device that you've seen running Android 7.0 is pretty much going to be the same experience on this phone here, except it has Huawei's skin on top of it. One thing I can say though is that the EMUI does run a little bit better on the Huawei Elate than it does on the Honor 6X. Keep that in mind. This phone costs a lot less than that as well. What do you think? Anyway, the next thing here that we're going to talk about is the battery life. And when it comes to battery life with this device here, it is pretty good. Actually really good. It's a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, so that already, you know, that means it's going to be a long lasting battery here. And with it only having a 720p display, you know, it's not really pushing that many pixels. With only a 720p display, that means battery is going to be great on this device here. And I do have some screenshots that I can show you. I got one screenshot actually, and it shows that I had about 4 hours, some odd minutes of screen on time, and I had about 41% battery life remaining. And the device does come with Quick Charge 2.0 as well. So when it comes to having a device that has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery and it has Quick Charge, you get the best of both worlds. Get a big battery and you get fast charging. So when it comes to battery life or battery performance on this phone here, great. You won't be disappointed at all. And so jumping on to the next thing here, we're going to talk about the camera. Now, the camera on this phone here is good. You know, I don't want you to expect any, you know, high level, you know, photos like on a flagship phone, because that's where people get it confused. When I say the camera is good, that means it takes pretty good photos, it takes pretty good video on the front and back, and good lighting conditions. Now, in low lighting conditions, which shouldn't really matter for a lot of people, for the people that it does matter to, you probably have a flagship phone in the first place. It's not going to be the best in low light, but both cameras do shoot in full HD. They shoot in 720p as well. You're going to get some good selfies. You're going to get some good rear shots as well. The rear camera is 12 megapixels and it has an LED flash on the back of the phone, and the front camera is 8 megapixels. And between both of them, obviously the better one is on the rear, and you do get more options as opposed to what kind of mode you want the camera to be in on the rear, and you get less on the front. But you know, you get pretty much your typical features. You get your filters, you get your different modes, you get pro video mode, which is kind of cool. I think that's only available on the V series of LG phones. A lot of phones, manufacturers don't put a pro video mode on their camera app, but not many people use it, so it doesn't really matter. But that's pretty much it for the camera there. Now, we can talk about the build quality along with the specs of the device, and pretty much what everyone talks about in the beginning of a phone review. So with this device here, the build quality is, you know, it has a piece of aluminum on the back. And it's actually the first phone I ever had that had bezels on the back. Now, bezels are not a bad thing here. It's just when I say it has bezels on the back, I mean there's a big piece of aluminum or metal in the middle of the device here. And the top of it has a piece of plastic, not too big though, but you can see has plastic on the top there and on the bottom. But it is a metal design, and the phone did come in at $64.99, so you can't really complain about it too much. It's not a cheap feeling phone at all. It actually feels a bit more premium than what you, it feels more premium than what you expect, and it feels more premium than the price that it retails for. That's a good way to put it. Spec wise, let's talk about the specs here. You get a 5.5 inch 720p display. Like I said, with the cameras, you get a 12 megapixel camera in the back with an LED flash. You get an 8 megapixel camera in the front. The pixels on the display is 268. You get a micro USB charging port on the bottom there. And on the left side here that you're looking at, your left side, that is the microphone. And on the right side, that's a speaker. And you can see here, you get your power button, your volume up and down keys. On the top of the phone, you get your headphone jack and a noise canceling mic. And on the left side of the phone here, my left side, is your SIM tray slot where you can put your micro SD card in for expandable memory and your SIM card to connect to the network, which is pretty important. Internally, you have a Snapdragon 435. It's clocked at 1.4 gigahertz. It's octa-core. You get the Adreno 505 for the GPU, and 2 gigs of RAM along with 16 gigabytes of internal storage. So you're probably gonna need a SD card to expand the storage on it. Now, when it comes to network connectivity, the device does have dual band Wi-Fi. So you will be able to connect to your 2.4 gigahertz network and your 5 gigahertz network. And as far as connectivity to the network, let's get to that part. You get pretty much full coverage when you have your SIM in this phone here. And I'm saying that from my experience and where I live, the coverage is pretty good when it comes to Cricket. I mean, it is a Cricket phone, so it's gonna have the bands necessary for you to connect to the network and make phone calls without having to call drop, depending on where you are. And you know, getting your text messages in on time, connecting to the LTE network, you know, your download speeds are consistent. Because with Cricket, if you didn't know, you get limited to 8 megabits up and down when you have the unlimited plan, or when you have the whatever gigabyte plan that you are on, you get limited to 8 up and 8 down when it comes to megabit speed. So connectivity on this phone here, A-okay, no complaints about it. And the last thing I want to talk about here is the actual performance of, you know, the internal specs as far as the GPU, how it's RAM management, everything like that, a little bit of game. So when it comes to the Geekbench score here, I don't remember that score off top, but I'm going to show you some screenshots in the video. But when it comes to the Geekbench score with the Huawei Elate, I got a single core score of about 650, and I got a multi-core score of 2852. And I did another test, which was the day before, from this one here, like a while ago. I got a single core score of 648 and another multi-core score of 2854. So when it comes to single core performance, I would say that's pretty good, not bad at all. But when it comes to multi-core performance for the Snapdragon 435, I'll have to give that a positive there. That's actually really good. And when it comes to the Antutu benchmark, I got a 43,981. When it comes to the Antutu benchmark, I guess that's a score that you get when the application obviously tests a variety of things within the phone here. But when it comes to scores and numbers that you get in applications, that don't really mean anything. What matters is the actual performance of the phone when you're actually using it in everyday usage, when it comes to RAM management, when it comes to applications opening, and when it comes to the phone not lagging for what you needed to do at that moment. And so when it comes to that, if that's what I'm going to be judging it on, and that's what I like, that's where I got a firm stance at, I'm going to say that it's pretty good. Because when it comes to RAM management, it's not the best, but it has 2 gigs of RAM, and it's not optimized, and it's not designed to have amazing RAM management, but you can have some applications running in the background, no problem. And you know, you also get your multi-window, so that's also a plus there. Pretty much standard Android 7.0. And when it comes to performance games here, when you play basic games like Temple Run 2, Subway Surfer, you won't have any problem at all. It's when you want to play those a little bit more graphic intensive games like South Park here, the South Park, the phone destroyer. That app might be a little bit, you know, draining on the phone here, but you got a big battery, so you should be able to handle it no problem. But when it comes to other games, like say for example, let's go as far as saying Real Racing 3 or Need for Speed, race car games, Asphalt. Those are graphic intensive games, so the phone may end up lagging a bit if you play those kind of games there, if you have it on a high settings. But other than that, you should be perfectly fine. So now it is going to be time for the max score. In case you were confused or don't know, the max score, it's a score that I give a device based out of 30 with 3 different categories. It's going to be software, battery life, and camera. And it's all going to be out of 10. All right. And that's going to be my basis of what a good, decent phone is going to be for the average consumer, or is a good, decent phone for myself. You can take it how you want it. If you think it's gonna be a good, decent score for you, if you wanna judge your phone based on those things like I am, go right ahead. But at the same time, it's all what you want in the phone, not what I think is good in the phone, okay? So when it comes to the max score here, with the Huawei Elate software, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because the actual performance of it is pretty decent. You won't have any issues with it. It doesn't really lag. It performs better than the Honor 6X, so I have no complaints about it. EMUI 5.0.1 is better on the Huawei Elate, a phone that costs more than $100 less than it is on the Honor 6X. Say what? What do you think? Just joking. With the battery life, I gave it a 10 out of 10 because you get a 4,000 milliamp hour battery and you get quick charge 2.0, and also you have a 720p screen. And if you add all those up, you get excellent battery life, no complaining at all. So 10 out of 10. Let's add these up here. 9 plus 10. And then the last one here is going to be the camera. Now the camera itself is pretty good. The cameras are pretty good. They both shoot full HD on the front and back, take pretty good rear photos and decent selfie shots. Only reason I say decent is because the camera in the front, as far as taking pictures, it can be a little sketchy sometimes. It can be really sketchy. But I do give it a pass, and I do give it a few more points because the 6X has a 8 megapixel camera in the front and a 12 megapixel camera in the back, but it can only shoot 720p, like for the front video. That's the max resolution, and that's not gonna cut it for me. Not with a phone that costs less than half the price of this, or less than half the price of the 6X, almost half the price of the 6X, and almost less than half the price, and it shoots full HD in the front. So I gave that one a 8.8. So when you add that up, you get a 27.8 out of 30. That is a little bit better than the Honor 6X. So the better overall phone, in my opinion, is going to be the Elate. Although the 6X does have 3 gigs of RAM, it does have a little bit more internal storage. When I base my numbers on, or what I base my likeness of the phone on, is the software, the battery life, and the camera. And when it comes to those 3 things, the Elate perform better with those 3 things, in my opinion, slightly, okay? But it all is up to you, the consumer, the person who's going to buy the phone, what you like and what you want to see, right? Yes. I'm just playing, y'all. But that's going to be the end of this video here. I want to say thank you for watching this video. If you like anything about this video, of course, like the video. Leave a comment if you want to see anything specific with this device here in the future, like speed tests or anything particular. I got a video coming up between this device, or no, between a couple other devices here that I have in the lineup. It's going to be coming pretty soon. Got to start working on that one there. I promised that to one of the subscribers here on the channel. But yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. As you know, my name is Max Rock, and you have a good day. Deuces.